Hi guys, obviously a kind of slight sense of deja vu. Back here again, kind of learning from home. I also know that this time round it obviously has an even more kind of direct impact on you, given the announcement yesterday that exams will be cancelled. Now, as yet, the same as you, I don't know what that means. I don't know how they're planning on assessing you. I don't know how they're planning on getting us to judge how you've done this year. I'll be honest, it's probably even harder this year than it was last year, because obviously you also missed loads of school last year. So in terms of like content coverage, you've not done as much as previous years, and so it's difficult really for us, and so it's hard for us to imagine exactly what it's going to look like as well. Now, because of that, but I suppose because of that, I'm conscious that I don't necessarily want to spend loads of time trying to do loads of new stuff over the next couple of weeks. I think some of you will struggle to motivate yourself, and that's okay. But also, I think that the reality is that we don't know what's happening next. So I think the most sensible thing for us to do is spend a bit of time going over some content that is part of the GCSE syllabus. So is obviously some of which I will, or you will be assessed against in whatever format that assessment takes, like whatever format it is that they want to judge you guys by. This is going to be relevant for you. Okay, now we'll do this for the next few days until we have a clearer sense of what is going to be happening this summer for your GCSEs, and we'll go from there. I'm expecting some hard work still, I've got to be honest. I think it's still relevant for you. I think it's still useful for you. I think knowing and working hard at this point is going to really clearly demonstrate how hard you would work for the rest of this year, and would help helps you to kind of prepare for or work towards whatever format of assessment you will get this year. And I realise that is really difficult. But yeah, let's have a go at this. We're going to work on Quadratic Formula today, which we did just before Christmas. So it's nice and simple, really. But it will get us back into it, really. And then over the next couple of days, we'll do some other topics. So the quadratic formula is this one, where you have x equals negative b plus or minus the square root of b squared minus 4ac, and that's all over 2a. Now, this you should recognise. We call it the quadratic formula, okay, because it applies to quadratic equations. Now, this will solve quadratic equations. We know that quadratics have two solutions, and that's why we have plus or minus. That means I'm going to both add this and complete the equation, and also then subtract it and then complete the equation. Okay, so we should get two different answers when we apply this. The way we're going to do this, and this will always apply to a quadratic that will look like this. Okay, so that quadratic will be ax squared plus bx plus c equals 0. A few key things here. First is that a, b, and c are the coefficients of the quadratic equation. The quadratic equation that we then plug into the quadratic formula to get the values of x. Okay, and those values of this variable x here. The other thing that's important to notice is that we're always going to use it when it's equal to 0. I'm going to show you an example when it isn't and how we're going to make it equal to 0. But it has to be equal to 0 before we plug in the numbers. Okay. So the first example we'll do in a second is this one, where we've got 2x squared minus 8x plus 7 equals 0. Now, importantly, a is always the coefficient of x squared. Okay, even if I write this in a different order, a is still the coefficient of x squared. Okay, b in this case is negative 8, okay, because it's got a negative in front of it, but b is the coefficient of x, and c in this case is 7, is the number on its own. Okay, and those correspond to the numbers in this formula here. Okay, so I've got a and a. I've got b and b, and then I have c as well. Okay, now when we're plugging this in, and all we need to do is it's really calculator work. This is a calculator process. Is we're going to use our calculator. I'm going to post an online version of this that you can use yourselves. But the first thing we're going to do is go for a fraction, and that's a refocus. Got this fraction, and what I want to make sure is that I'm going to plug this in properly. So this is negative b. So I'm going to press negative, and then I'm going to have b. So negative b. B is negative 8. I'm going to put that in brackets. I'm going to start by doing the plus. I'm going to plus the square root of b squared. So again, negative 8 is in brackets, and then I'm going to square it. I'm going to minus 4 lots of a, which is 2. So I'm putting every number I put into this equation in brackets to ensure I can see where I've put them. It means if a was 4, I wouldn't get confused between the 4s. Okay, I can see really clearly I've put everything in there properly. Okay, so that c is 7. I then go underneath, and it's 2 lots of a. So 2, and it's lots of 2. Now here's a good example. If I just put 2 on the bottom, we'll be like, oh great, 2. And this is 2 as well, so we think we've done it. It's 2 lots of 2, okay, 2 times by 2. I can press equals and I get this answer, which is quite complicated, so I'm going to go like that, okay? 2.707106781. And so I'm going to say that, right, x equals 2.707. I'm going to leave them to 3 decimal places in this case. Now the reason I put it all into my calculator like this is I want to go back onto it. I'm going to go all the way back because all of the numbers are going to stay in the same places, and the thing I'm going to change is that positive becomes a negative, so I'm doing the minus 1 here. I press equals, I get this, and so my answer is then 1. I can put or x equals 1.293. Oh, sorry, 293. Throw my pen across the place. 293 because I'm going to round up. The 8 rounds up. Means that I'm going to round that 2 up to a 3. Okay, sorted. I'm going to do one more quick example. One more quick example, and then you can start on the worksheet that I've posted. Okay, so that example, I've got my quadratic formula written for me again, but I'm going to do this example. So the example is going to be 5x plus x squared equals 8. Okay, now it can be helpful, I haven't written it here, it can be helpful to remember that this is all going to relate to an equation which is ax squared plus bx plus c equals 0. Now this one is significantly harder for 2 key reasons. Okay, one is that it does not equal 0, it currently equals 8, so I need to deal with that. I'm going to show you how to do that in a second. Okay, that's my first problem. The other one is these aren't written in the same way. Okay, now they will do that occasionally to try and confuse you. What I'm going to do is I'm going to write it like this, in this order, with x squared to the far left, and then x, and then c to make sure, and then equal to 0 to make sure that when I put the numbers in, it's easy. It's the same process every time. Okay, so I know using algebra I can start rearranging this. Right, I want this to equal 0. And I've currently got 8. To deal with that, I'm going to subtract 8 from both sides. Oh, my pen stopped working at a great time. There we go. Take away 8 from both sides. That will leave me with 5x plus x squared minus 8 equals 0. And I'm nearly there. At this point, if we're feeling confident, you can then leave it. But I actually am going to go x squared plus 5x minus 8 equals 0. I've not done any maths here. I've just rewritten these in a different order. It's exactly the same. It doesn't make a difference. Okay? They're both exactly the same. 5x plus x squared is the same as x squared plus 5x, so there's no problems there. Now again, if you want to, I'd highlight. Okay, go through a process of highlighting. I'm going to do A in blue. Now A is that number there. Now it's invisible because we're using algebra. Because it's invisible, I can write it in if I want to, but we need to know if I've got x squared, that means my coefficient is just 1. Okay, so A is 1. B here in orange is 5, and it's positive 5, so it's just 5. And then C, which is my green, is going to be -8. Okay, and it's -8. Importantly, -8. Once I've got those, again, it's calculator work. Okay, so first stop is my fraction. I'm going to plug it in. -b, so it's negative lots of b, which is 5. And I'm going to do add first. So it's the square root of b squared, so it's 5 squared. Oh, sorry, minus 4 lots of a, which is 1. Lots of c, which is -8. Then it's 2 lots of a, 2 lots of 1 equals. Okay, I get this answer, which tells me that x is equal to 1.27, and that's to 2 decimal places. Okay, I go back, all the way back, change that to negative, and I get this, and that's then x equals -6.27. Okay, and that's also to 2 dp. Sorted. 2 answers, all from the calculator, done. Okay, have a go at the questions on the sheet, please, and submit your answers to the assignment. Any issues, let me know. If you haven't got a scientific calculator at home, then please do use the online one that I post as well. Okay, good luck.